Dan, can you tell us about center tap batteries and the different industries in which they're used?
Sure. Well, my experience is with telecom, a little bit of utility, and also data center world. Center tap batteries in the utility world are are where they take a battery and maybe they're dealing with two different voltages. Like at a substation, you might have 125 volt systems and 250 volt systems. So I'm going to hold up a little sketch I made here and watch when you do your copyrights, because this is actually going into 946. I drew these. So this will be going into IEEE 946, which is out for ballot right now. But in a lot of utilities, if they have two different voltages, 125 and 250, they'll tie batteries center tap this way, take a charger and another charger, basically put them in series across all this, and come out through a circuit breaker out to the 125 volt load, or out of here through a circuit breaker to the 250 volt load.
Okay.
And so that gives them some flexibility out there. There's also a couple other ways that they've been doing it over the years, but this is the more preferred arrangement.
And that's in a utility.
Right.
Okay.
Now, over in telecom, every now and then you get somebody who has a 48 volt plant and thinks he can just take a circuit breaker, 12 cells up in the 24 volts and take that off. And is that a center tap battery? Yes. Is it a doomed battery? Also, yes, because it knocks the charge balance off enough that the cells in the bottom half of that string will just deteriorate and die. So
Okay.
it is a half tap battery, but it's not something I'd do for more than a day or two.
Okay, just as a stopgap in an emergency situation.
Yeah, exactly. If let's say you're a lightning hit and power surge took out your rectifiers and you needed to get new rectifiers or chargers in, you could do that in a couple days or a week. That might be a good stopgap measure temporarily, but it's not a good long-term solution.
Okay.
All right. Another thing that's done sometimes in telecom, and this is being considered for higher voltage DC systems like the 384 volt systems that are starting to turn up in data centers and things like that. They'll take half the string and center tap it with a resistance ground, and then the other half of the string. So the charger's putting out 384 volts, 390 volts, whatever it's doing up in that higher voltage range. It's almost like a UPS front end.
Okay.
But it's a center tap battery here, and then they break it with disconnect switches in here to reduce the voltage for the technician.
Okay.
Right. So that's a big deal in battery maintenance right now. Some of the NFPA standards and whatnot are looking at how much voltage somebody could get across and get hurt, or is there an arc flash, arc blast condition. And the way the rules are right now, currently, they don't want somebody able to put his body across more than 100 volts DC.
Okay.
Okay, because of the breakdown point of skin in terms of electric shock and whatnot. So if you can use disconnect switches for maintenance and break the series string, it might be a 500 volt string, who knows? But if you can break that into increments less than 100 volts, and there are some physical barriers between it and the next bunch, so that there's no way you can put your body across more than 100 volts, then you don't have to wear a space suit.
Okay.
These big high calorie suits.
But then the second it gets more than 100 volts, you probably do need to strap
You're falling
in.
into that, yeah.
Yeah,
You
okay.
gotta, and some of that gets ugly because it's whose rules do you follow? You're supposed to wear acid resistant gloves. You're supposed to wear dielectric gloves, but nobody wears an acid resistant dielectric glove. So if you were to put on, if you were to use the typical gloves an electrician wears, you'd have a cotton glove to absorb perspiration, a rubber glove to be the dielectric, a leather glove to keep the rubber glove from getting damaged.
So you're wearing 3 gloves.
Well, no, before. Now you need an acid-resistant glove
Christ,
over that.
yeah.
And it's like dressing your kid up to take him out in the snow. He can't. He's got mittens on, but he couldn't
Yeah, so what's
close
he
it.
going to be able to do with his hands at that point?
Yeah, and then he needs fine motor skills to use a wrench or something or a meter probe. So it's problematic. So, here you go. We got gloves. Okay, so
Ask and you shall receive.
Yes, yeah, there you go. So here's the rubber glove. And then...
My doctor used one that looked just like this.
Oh, well, yeah, Dr. Jellyfinger. We all love him. But anyway, so normally you would have a cotton glove to keep perspiration from damaging the dielectric glove.
Okay.
You'd have a leather glove over top of that to protect the rubber glove from getting cuts.
All right.
All right, and if you had to do acid resistant, you'd be putting something all
else over
that,
top of this.
and it's
It's a pain in the neck.
I couldn't make a fist if I had to fight my way out of here.
Right, exactly.
So that's a good reason to break. And for years in the UPS world, they've been taking a 3-pole switch and using the 2 outer poles as disconnect for the extreme positive, extreme negative end of the battery string, and then using the middle pole of a 3-pole switch to break them into 2 series strings for maintenance. And this will be that concept, just more of it to break it down into smaller strings, smaller series strings, for smaller voltage, parts of a string, so that a technician can work on it. And we also found out, just for the heck of it, that a 3-pole switch is cheaper than a 2-pole switch in a lot of cases because they're selling more of them.
Oh, right.
So volume discounts,
Okay. So another
it wouldn't be a
benefit.
special order kind of thing. Yeah. So those are basically what those architectures look like. My suggestion would be that somebody who wanted to know more about this or keep himself out of trouble would be to get a copy of IEEE 946, which is the standard, what's going to be the standard for all that.
So it lays out the process.
Absolutely. It lays out every bit of it.
All right. Well, thanks, Dan.
Sure.
Center tap batteries.